AITA for telling niece I prefer my real name to a nickname. My youngest niece, Raven, recently entered 2nd grade and was filling out an identity and names worksheet. It was pretty much about family members. You talk to 3 family/friends about their identity. Raven asked to call me on Skype and talk about her worksheet. She asked if I had kids, what I did for a job, etc. At the very end, she said, I already knew this question. I filled it out when we first started. I asked her what the question was. She said, your name is Whirly. Tell everyone my aunt has a cool name. I told her, nicely, that my name is actually Winona and she is the only one who calls me Whirly, minus my sister. And my sister only calls me Whirly when talking about me to Raven. Raven got confused and I said, when you were little, you could not pronounce Winona and said Whirly instead. Your mom thought it was so cute. Raven asked if everyone calls me Whirly, because it was cute. Told her honestly, everyone calls me Winona, including the other nephews, because I don't use a nickname outside of Winnie. Everyone I know calls me Winona, just like everyone calls you Raven. My niece finished her homework, talked about her school day, and we said goodbye. The next day my sister called me in a fit of rage, saying I ruined her daughter's whole night because she called me Aunt Winona instead of Whirly. My sister then explained that when Raven called Uncle Top, my brother Christopher, she asked him, do you like being called Uncle Top? And when he said, actually, if you want to know, I go by Chris. So now Raven is upset the other adults have told her they dislike the nicknames. And while I thought it was cute when she was little, I kind of hated the nickname. AITA. I'd be curious to know how old Raven is, but it won't change the answer. NTA, you were perfectly nice in your answer. 7. Nata, your sister seemed to be the problem, not Raven. The kid probably just registered the name change and asked the next ones and that is it. I doubt the kid had a meltdown or anything about the name. You can even tell Raven that Winona is a pretty cool name too. It's not that common and there are famous people that share your name. I love my name. I love being Aunt Winona. NTA. All you did was tell her your real name. So did her uncle. Raven had to learn eventually. NTA. I understand children have a hard time pronouncing things, but as they get older it's okay to set boundaries with preferred names and pronouns etc. I don't think you did anything wrong. You just gave her your preference and prepared her for the real world. I felt like that was part of the reason her homework existed. I know a lot of kids who don't know their parents' real names outside of mom and dad. I am not a huge fan of nicknames. I had issues when I was little with people calling me sweetie or honey. I would always tell them, it's Winona. AITA for telling my husband that he's not going on the yearly trip this year. Back when my husband was 16, him and his 3 closest friends started a yearly camping/kayaking trip. The trip is always at the end of July and usually lasts 3 days. Over the years, the trip has gotten bigger with the addition of wives and new friends. It doesn't matter to the guys, as long as they get their trip and get to spend the weekend drinking and escaping from responsibility. They are now 13 years in. Every one of the boys, besides my husband, has missed at least one. This always coincides with pregnancy of their wives and they stay home with her. I have been on 6 of Terry's trips. And no, Vivid didn't stop the trips as we can, and did distance during it. Well, the year has finally came. It's our turn to miss. I am due in the middle of July so I won't be pregnant during the trip, but I will have a newborn. In our group chat we have for planning the trip, everyone has started putting plans together on location. I've talked in it asking for them not to go to a specific place as I really want to go and we have agreed to hold that place off until next year, but my husband said they should all go to this other place. I reminded my husband that he couldn't go this year. This sparked a fight between hubby and I where he said I wouldn't be pregnant anymore so Terry's no reason to miss. I told him we will have a few-week-old baby at the time, that I needed him home. He threw a fit saying saying he has never missed a year and he wasn't going to start when I could have my mom come help me. I called him an ass and told him he wasn't going this year. We ended the argument in a we will see. Now getting shit from his family and one of his friends saying I can't tell him he can't go and that I'm being a needy bitch. Two of his friends are with me on this, saying he needs to step up because this won't be the only thing he will miss being a parent. AITA. NTA. It is unreasonable to leave a recently postpartum mother and your newborn child /alone for days just to have fun. If anything, you'll need him more than when you are late term. Let's assume you're going to give birth on your due date, total crapshoot, and everything goes well and no one has any complications, statistically likely but not guaranteed. By 2 weeks postpartum, you will probably still be bleeding if you had a vaginal delivery, and will only just be able to start doing household chores. Will still be finding it difficult to move around, if you had a C-section, but considerably easier than in week 1. You will have your checkup to see if you can start to resume normal activities and won't be allowed to do household stuff until this checkup, so it's possible you won't be medically cleared until after he leaves. So that's a no from me. If your husband is putting down his foot, ask him to Google business trip postpartum and see what people who have actually had children think. It's doable if you have local help, for example parents, but since it is a fun trip that every other guy has missed due to pregnancy/childbirth / it is not unreasonable to ask him to be around for when you're still potentially in the frozen maxi pad, milk/latching problems that make you feel terrible, losing mind because there's no schedule phase. This is part of being a parent, saying no to shit you want to do because now you have a living human entirely dependent on you. NTA. This scenario gets posted so often that it beggars belief he is going to be a dad. Obviously, it's time that he refocuses his priorities. I told him we will have a few-week-old baby at the time, that I needed him home. He threw a fit saying he has never missed a year and he wasn't going to start when I could have my mom come help me. Oh, poor kid. Growing up is tough. NTA. This guy is prioritizing a trip he goes on every single year over your newborn baby. Does he just expect you to struggle on your own as a mum? It sucks, but his commitment as a dad and husband is bigger than some trip that happens a lot. And honestly, it's kinda sad that he's willing to just leave them behind for this trip. My husband went back to work 2 weeks after our son was born. Most of the texts I got from him while he was at work was how much he missed the baby and how much he wanted to hop in his car and come home to us. NTA. This dude sucks. NTA. I'd love to understand the logic behind calling you needy. You will have just given birth to new life. Of course you will need help. His family and his friend all need to get their head out of their asses. Are they going to help you instead? Because if not, they all need to shut up and mind their own business. You even stated that friends over the years have missed because of kids. If this is how your husband is reacting to you birthing his child, he needs to get his priorities straight. NTA. Not even that she will need help. It is 50% his child and he holds just as much responsibility for caring for their newborn baby. Shoot, why doesn't Op let him know she'll be going on the trip and leaving him home alone with their newborn baby? That is just as much his baby as it is hers. Obviously that is ridiculous, about as ridiculous as him wanting to leave Op when she will likely have a newborn, or possibly be about to have one, but maybe that would put it a little more in perspective. Roll /. AITA for taking vacation and leaving my husband with every single house duty there is for 4 days. My husband and I have been together for 8 years, recently married, 15 months ago. We have a 4-year-old son. For the past 3 years I have worked from home. Such a godsend, 12-hour shifts 4 days a week. It's a struggle, because my husband gets home from work at 1 AM and takes 2 to 3 hours to unwind, so he doesn't get to bed until maybe 3 or 4 AM and sleeps basically all day until he has to leave for work. On his days off he spends that with me and our son, obviously, but I have noticed that as time goes on, he does less and less around the house. Before this he would make dinner on his days off, take care of all of son's needs and do basic cleaning so that I could have a breather. Now he doesn't make dinner at all, falls asleep on the couch by 7, so I have son duty 24/7 and hasn't lifted a finger to clean in weeks. So on my 3 days off a week, I end up having to deep clean my entire house because I don't have time to do anything on my work days aside from the bare minimum. 2 weeks ago I asked him for some help. He happily obliged for all of 30 minutes before taking off to go help a buddy with his car and didn't do jack squat after returning home because he was tired. I needed a break. I told him this. His way of comforting me was by hugging me and saying you're doing such a good job. Didn't offer to help or anything. So, I made a plan. Asked my mom to take my son for 4 days and planned a vacation for myself with work. I dropped my son off yesterday with my mom. I only did this because my husband obviously works, and took off to our cabin 58 miles away to relax. My husband started texting me last night asking where I was. I told him the cabin. He asked where our son was, so I told him. He then started going off about how this is selfish of me and that if he had realized I wasn't merely stressed out that he would have helped out more. Used the argument that he too is stressed out and tired. He claims my communication on the issue was terrible and that I could have been more open and laid it out. Says that I'm an ass for taking a vacation without him because he could have used it too. But the thing is, I straight out told him I needed a break. I asked him for help. He disregarded it all. But now I'm curious if I'm an AITA. Our conversations went exactly as I wrote them above. So maybe I was lacking in the communication department. NTA. I grew up with my mom constantly doing everything and being constantly stressed about it. In my eyes, it's 50-50, or nothing. I personally believe you should have done more to rile him up. Maybe leave the house a mess. Would have been pretty funny. Seriously, you asked him for weeks/months, so fuck it. He can clean the house and order takeout for 4 days. He will live. I highly doubt Op will be coming home to a clean house. Dirt can be easily ignored. NTA. Asked my mom to take my son for 4 days. I was all ready to give you NTA even assuming you were leaving your husband to work out care for his son. He could have used it too. He has a house to himself, with no wife nor child to worry about. How is he not also getting a vacation? Your last sentence got me too. The fact that he sees a week alone at home as a punishment rather than a treat is very telling. It's so telling that he wants to blame his decision not to contribute on you by saying you didn't communicate. He knows he needs to throw in equally, he knows he wasn't doing it, and he knows that you told him. He's upset at facing the consequences of his own actions and he should be apologizing to you. NTA. NTA. I'm so sick and tired of people saying Op sucks too for not communicating, but who tells her what needs to be done around the house or how to take care of a child? Does husband not have eyes? Can he not see what needs to be cleaned, tidied or cooked? Does he not know his child's needs? If he didn't before, maybe his 4-day vacation without a child to care for or a wife to clean up after him opened his eyes. Amen. Do these people think women are born knowing how to clean? That we have magical powers that allow us to spot dust? Men see these things, they just assume someone else will take care of it.